For the record, my name is Jacob Ngwele, and I'll be submitting on the remainder of our submissions. Before I embark on evaluation of the evidence which you have submitted, Chair, it's our humble and most respectful submission that the Assembly side has substantiated all the 62 grounds of violation which the Assembly passed in this impeachment motion against the governor, as were read in the charge sheet, which was read before the governor here. I will proceed and explain how we have substantiated those charges. One of the grounds was the issue of illegal appointments, nepotism, and illegal usurpation of public offices. Of course, the first issue was the appointment of the governor's husband as in county offices. Chair, from the outset, this issue has been trivialized. It has been generalized, it has been demeaned, but it is a very serious issue. What the governor and the chief of staff did not mention when they were being cross-examined, they only went to the appointment of Hustler's ambassador, but they never mentioned that, or they never came out clearly that the issue was about, the critical issue was about the governor in a public setting. In a public setting which was draped with flags, a forum which was meant to launch a person in a public office, did appoint the husband as a patron of a public institution, an institution which has been created by a statute. It is a submission that it is not just a matter of a spouse. It is about a spouse who has been given an illegal appointment and who is exercising illegal powers. You are not appointed a patron of a public institution to be an ambassador of it. You are appointed a patron to exert influence, to exert policy directions on that particular institution. And for that reason, we submit that this issue has been proved, and the issue about the role of the spouses, we need to debunk that particular issue and argue that, as it was raised here, spouses are not appointed in critical public positions. You cannot see a spouse appointed as a patron of Kenya Forest Service, as a patron of Mama Lucy Hospital. These are not the reserve for spouses to be appointed. The other issue quickly was the issue of reappointment of Mr. Rufus Miriti as a county secretary. This issue is uncontested. It is uncontested both in the affidavit which is submitted in this house. It is uncontested both in the oral evidence and also the oral evidence of both Mr. Harrison and the governor herself. It is not contested. It is not in dispute or doubtful that Mr. Miriti has been reappointed as a county secretary. It is not in dispute that Mr. Miriti was the county secretary of the previous regime. It is not contested that Mr. Miriti's term came to an end with the tenure of the previous government. But what Mr. Harrison told the court, the Senate, was that the term was extended, the extension was allowed by the TA, then the term is still ongoing, he still has a contract which expires on 23rd of January next year. We do submit that this is one of a very critical illustration whereby the governor has disregarded the express provisions of the law. And the law is that an appointment, including reappointment, must be submitted to the county assembly for fresh vetting. We did submit in our documents 2 decisions of the High Court. One is the one for the High Court of Machakos, and the other one by Justice Murima. In the Machakos judgment, the court said that in case of the term of the CCs whose the tenure of the governor has come to an end, they must be subjected to a reappointment. Similarly, Justice Murima said that if the term of the CS comes to an end with the end of the tenure of the president, they must be submitted. That particular gentleman is still up to date, exercising illegal powers, and that is one of the grounds we have submitted. The other issue, which I'll go quickly, is the issue of the roadside appointments. It is not in dispute, both from the governor's evidence and from Mr. Harrison's evidence, that these appointments were made, both in Timau, Nikubu, and Kianjai. What has happened is that the evidence has shifted. Initially, it was that no pronouncements were made. Then, no letters were given. Now, it has become the appointments were actually made for an organization called Okolea. In the governor's evidence, in our governor's affidavit, that is not mentioned. We do submit that this is a creation. It's what in law we call an afterthought, a smokescreen, whereby you want to shift the evidence from this direction. We are saying, I was not stealing, actually I was speaking. That is what they are trying to submit. We do submit that the evidence we have given in our annexures, all the annexures, and we ask, as my colleague has requested the Senate, let the committee review the transcripts for all those 3 instances, and you will see the governor directing the ward administrators to appoint those people. How do you direct public officers to appoint people to private organization? We do submit that this allegation has been proved and is tantamount to illegal usurpation of functions given to a public institution. The only person who can create public offices, the only person who can hire is the County Public Service Board. Honorable Senators, the other issue, of course, similar to that one, was the issue of illegal committees which were created for municipalities. It is not in dispute that in Meru, they have municipal boards. It's not in dispute that one of the functions of the county government is management of parking and taxes. So the governor cannot go ahead and create parallel structures to manage these functions which are provided for in the 4th schedule of the Constitution. This was a committee with a treasurer, with an organizing secretary, with a chairman, with a secretary. What were they created to do? We do submit that this allegation has been proved, and we invite the committee to review the evidence. The other issue was the issue of incitement and bullying. Incitement and bullying. We do submit that all the instances, the four instances, I'll go first of all, incitement, bullying, vilification of leaders. One was about Honorable Mwenda. That one, the member himself gave evidence here. The video which was produced here showed how the governor humiliated him in public. The governor was there parading him, asking him to apologize, telling him, I'm going to offer you protection. But now the narrative has changed, that it was the members of the public who were asking the member to apologize. Yet the governor herself has admitted she's the one who introduced that subject to the gathering. The other issue about vilification of the senator and the CS and the MP for Tigania, that is very clear in the transcripts. If you read those transcripts, it is on a meeting where the governor was present. And the issues was about this, allegedly, that these leaders were putting pressure on the governor to share power. But what does the governor say? She changes the narrative and argues that the half a bread, half a loaf she meant was that sharing half a loaf with MCAs. Yet the context was that these members want half a loaf of my government. We invite the committee to review that particular evidence. Chairman, I'll ask that, because I'm going through a lot of grounds which you covered, that you add me 5 more minutes in my time so that I can wind up. The other issue, you can see I'm rushing and I'm doing the work some justice.
Order.
The other issue.
Order. Everything that you are speaking to has already been articulated. It is up to you to ensure that you squeeze it into the limited time.
Yes, Chairman. The other issue was about vilification of a Catholic Church. When this matter began, the evidence was not clear. But from the evidence adduced by the governor and also the priest, the matter has been shed clear that there is a dispute between the Catholic Church and the county government of Meru, and a dispute which has now arisen after the governor came into place, where she's challenging the lease which the church is holding. And the governor is saying she's being put pressure to pay the money. What does she do? In a majestic style, whenever you confront the governor, she calls for baraza to fight you, what we call bully pulpit. She calls the meeting, takes down the church so that the church can relinquish their leasehold, which is still valid. We do submit that this evidence has again been submitted. Another issue which is close to my heart, because that is something which is very close also to this committee, about the inviolability of the precincts of the assembly. this Senate has enacted the County Assembly Powers and Privileges Act. That act makes it very clear that you cannot force yourself into the county assembly. It provides offenses which you commit when you force yourself into the county assembly. The governor herself, in Annexure 16, the last clip which was played here, she has said that she was barred from entering the assembly, but she forced herself into the county assembly. The evidence also produced shows that the governor was accompanied by goons and militia. What was played by their side was different from what we played. You will see when she was coming, other than the clip which showed her entering the assembly, there was another clip outside there where she had a group of people. And the posture the governor had taken, the demeanor, the temper she had, meant that the governor was coming for combat in the assembly. And the honorable senators, we do request this Senate I want to direct the Senate to the County Assembly Powers and Privileges Act, more so Section 3, which protects the precincts of the assembly. Not even the agents of the national government, not even the police, not even the NSIS can enter without the invitation of the speaker. But the governor went there by force. Honorable senators, I wish to remind you that of the issue of the January 6th, 2021 in America, whereby the then president of America incited a group, a group of gathering of people. They went ahead and invaded the hallowed precincts of the U.S. Capitol. They took over, they commandeered the Senate, they commandeered the House of Representatives, and what has happened? The January 6th committee has found that the president needs to be prosecuted by the Department of Justice. Had the president been in the office today, he would have been impeached. It is impeachable. It is an offense under the laws of this country for you to hold gathering outside the gates of the assembly. The law protects even the gates of the assembly. The law provides even the gates of this Senate. You cannot come and hold a baraza outside the gates of this Senate. You will be violating the laws of the land. My last two issues is the issue about the violation of the Public Finance Management Act. We do submit that this allegation has been proved. The governor has not contested that she made those utterances. What she has done, she has shifted the narrative. She has shifted the story that she was being requested. Yet when you review the evidence, you will see that in that particular meeting, the governor made 4 remarks. One, she said she wants to establish wellness center. The other one, she wants the CCs and chief officers who are going to be recruited to be doctors. Those are policy pronouncements she was making. Thirdly, she went ahead and gave waivers. Waivers, under the provisions of the Public Finance Management Act, is a preserve of the CC finance. The governor cannot give waivers. Meru has a legislation. Meru has a legislation called Meru County Tax Waivers Administration Act, which is very clear that it is only the CC finance who can provide waivers. The other issue the governor did with that particular issue was directing the hospital to spend money at source. Chairman, I really want to correct the impression which has been created that the Meru Teaching Referral Hospital Act provides for the use of money at source. I'll recommend the committee to read Section 14(4) of the same act. It talks about that the funds under the section shall be managed in accordance with the PFM Act. That act recognizes that you have to refer back to the PFM Act. And the PFM Act provides elaborate mechanisms whereby you can use money from source. We do submit that this allegation has been proved. The last of allegation was offenses, misconduct relating to the CCs. What the governor did was, as the assembly, in exercise of its constitutional mandate, rejected 7 nominees. Nothing wrong with that. Within the confines, within the powers of the county assembly, to refuse, to reject nominees. But what does the law provide? The county assembly, the Public Appointment County Assembly Approval Act, Section 10, provides that once the assembly rejects the name, the governor is supposed to resubmit. The governor shall resubmit fresh names. The the act uses the word shall, which means if we reject 6, you don't go back and abandon the 6 and you work with the 3. No, you resubmit you resubmit the 7 who have been rejected. What the governor did was she went in the guise of reorganization, collapsed the departments, and appointed 3 CC to be in charge of 6 departments. Our submission is that Section 46 of the County Government Act provides a mechanism in which the governor can reorganize our government. It's not the work of the governor, it is the county executive committee which can reorganize the government. So what the governor did, suo moto, what the chairman was mentioning in the cross-examination, treating the county as a public property, as a private property, instead of reverting the names back to the assembly, you go back and reorganize yourself, yet the law provides that the CC is still intact. The 7 CCs whose positions have not been filled are still serving. So for that reason, we submit that all our allegations of misconduct have been submitted. And for that reason, we ask this Senate to recommend, this committee, to recommend to the Senate that the Assembly has substantiated, has proved all the 64 allegations in view of Article 181 of the Constitution. The last point is a question has come about here. A question has arisen even when the governor was on the podium about this time is too short, it's too early, it's too early. My colleague had asked, does the Constitution of Kenya provide temporary impunity? Within 100 days of being in office, you can break all the laws of the land. In UK, Liz Truss, who had been appointed popularly by the party, she was thrown out by her fellow MPs after 44 days in office. Irresponsible actions, maybe that is what they were saying, not my actions, compelled the same party, the members of the House of Commons, to push her out within 44 days. In our Constitution, we don't have a time frame. You can be impeached even the following day. Okay. With those few remarks, Honorable Senators, I submit and I thank the committee for giving us the opportunity. And we also thank, on behalf of our team, maybe on behalf of my lead counsel, we thank on our side, because this is the last time we are taking the podium, we thank the chairman, the Honorable Senators for the time they have taken to working until 1 a.m. It's not a mean feat. The Secretariat, and even for the other side, for the work we have done. And for that reason, we thank you very much and wish you all the best and Happy New Year.
Thank you. You have done 36 minutes. County Governors Council, you have 30 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity, and the members of the committee. I will have the 30 minutes.